We're live.
Hello, folks. Howdy doody.
Hi, everybody.
Look, we've got Jerry Wise in the house.
We're adjusting the camera to get everybody in.
Hey, howdy. Howdy. Good to see everyone.
Jerry's
Or at
back
least for you to see us.
Jerry's
on the
back.
channel. Y'all should have seen us trying to get a little thumbnail
I
picture.
wish we'd have had that camera.
I got a
wish
lot
we'd
of
had that video.
exercise on that one.
Brenda would hit the button and she'd have to run over to her chair and then it'd get a picture of me and Jerry. And she did it like 6 times
Yeah.
until we finally
Rather
worked
the
it out.
Keystone Cops,
That's
kind of fun.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
kind of fun.
so I had some questions for Jerry. Brenda, did you have some questions
I
for
did
Jerry?
have some questions for Jerry.
Do you want to start with your
No,
questions, or do you want me to
go
start?
ahead, because I'm going to get set up here.
You're going to get set up. I'm
Uh-huh.
getting set up.
And,
Jerry's set up. So, Jerry, just...
and I'm set up.
Oh, so-
Okay, so Jerry, you're back.
I'm back.
Catch us up with what you've been up to for the past year.
Well, I have been working on a site for myself to focus on self-differentiation, family systems, and that type of approach for folks. Also, adult children of narcissists, ACOAs, those kinds of folks, and people who want to self-differentiate. I've been working on kind of focusing and narrowing in on that area.
Sumit says hi.
Oh, hi, Sumit.
He's your boy, right?
Yes. And thanks for saying hi. The also, I have a website dedicated to that, Jerry Wise Relationship Systems, and a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, so that we can reach more people with different kind of niches that we have, as in Mark's niche, Rinda's niche, I have a niche, and those are things that we really specialize in and really want to help people
You
in those
do more
areas.
family systems, Murray Bowen, individuation, don't get ate up by your crazy family kind of stuff.
That's
So,
exactly
Jerry,
right.
A year and 2 months ago, you vanished from the channel, and we don't want to go too much into detail. It wasn't because you didn't want to be with Family Tree, right?
No, it was
It was extenuating circumstances
Extenuating
beyond your
circumstances.
control, beyond my control.
lots of people's control.
Lots of people go. We call it. We'll just say it was narcissistic abuse
By
by
proxy.
proxy. That's all we're
And,
saying.
well, and I think it affected everybody.
Yeah,
It did. It did affect everybody.
It did.
in the whole practice, and it was
But
very
the
difficult.
Lord works in mysterious ways. You know, we were upset. You were upset. But
It's very
somebody sent you a message that said, I forget who it was, but I took it for my own. And it was such a good message. It says, don't let this experience be a downer. Be ready to, in so many words, sort of shine and write your opus and kick some butt and turn a bad thing into a good thing. And you've been busy doing that.
And I have worked very hard to do that in doing
Yeah.
videos and putting up quotes, and I've got 3 workshops that are in the pipeline.
Awesome.
And I've got a number of things going on to try to help people, even people who may not be able to afford my services individually. They can do an 1.5-hour workshop or a 2-hour workshop that I have
Together with other people.
or they can purchase it for themselves.
Nice.
And those are going to be coming up here. We've got it, they've all been done. Now we're getting the transcripts, and in fact, I'm having all of the transcripts of all of my videos done now, getting done now,
That's
Cool.
That's really
Cool.
so that people can have them.
So, just for everybody to be clear, we're not purporting you or Rinda at this point to be licensed clinical social workers or licensed therapists. You are a self-expert, a life coach. Tell us about your credentials
Right.
as Jerry.
Well, and I have a master's degree in pastoral psychology,
do?
and I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And in the past, I have held different positions in the therapy world, Now I am a certified life coach so that I can reach people all over the world and reach them with a message of self-differentiation. And in fact, in Murray Bowen Family Systems, they primarily talk about those who do that therapy as facilitators or coaches in that
That's
particular
the
theory.
way he saw
That's the
himself.
way he saw himself.
As
That's
a
right,
coach.
as a coach.
Yeah.
And I take that coaching to others.
Do you wear a little baseball cap and chew tobacco? Is that part of?
If that would bring people to recovery or
If that
healing,
would-
I would do that.
If that would bring it.
So
to-
actually, that brings me to a question from one of our viewers, Sharon, who says, "How is a life coach different than a
that
therapist?"
seems to relate to what we were discussing.
It does.
Yes. Well, and I can answer, or Mark,
ahead,
or
Jerry.
Rinda, if you want
Go ahead
to
and
answer.
Answer that.
I think of a life coach as helping someone move forward, and helping someone to gain skills and abilities, using different tools to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish, such as, like in my case, self-differentiation. And that even though there are family of origin issues that may be related to those skills, the focus is moving forward and being the new you. And I see a coach doing that. Now there can be some work done about our past, and certainly I work on the past as well. But it's for the purpose of moving forward and being a strong individual, a well-defined individual, and I think a well-defined individual does well with coaching. Certainly there's psychoanalysis, there's CBT or cognitive restructuring therapies, there's all kinds of different therapies, and people are trained in those. I've even been trained in some of those as well in the past. But I really focus on the how do I take a look at what is now, which has its roots in the past, for sure, but what is now and how can we adjust and grow in that?
We've talked about this on the channel. Music Lover says we all look so cozy. Jerry's not drinking a beer; it's a root
Oh,
beer.
it is a root beer.
A&W.
And it is
beer.
diet, as a matter of fact.
So Jerry, was doing his thing and we were doing our thing, but we had been in talks for a long while about having him join our channel. He's not joining Family Tree Counseling. He's just on our channel. You know why I want him on our channel? Because people dig him. People watch our channel when there's Jerry Wise videos, and then they stumble across Mark and Rinda videos just because they're there to watch Jerry videos, and then vice versa sometimes. So we're scratching his back, and he's
I'm
scratching our
scratching
back,
theirs.
and y'all are the winners. So
Yeah.
he's gonna
We're
try to be
coordinating.
as many as 2 a week. You can't guarantee that he'll get that many done, but
I've been doing pretty good so
you've
far.
been doing pretty good so far. We got 4, and then I re-released one of yours, and once a month, Rinda and I are going to take a night off and go on a date night, and Jerry's going to do the live stream, the Church for the Narcissistic Abuse show by himself, and answer your questions and come prepared.
Right.
So we're just really excited. One more thing I wanted to say. We just heard today, we haven't got the contract signed, but Family Tree has a new home here. We went from Carmel, which is on the north side of Indianapolis, where lots of rich folk live. Nothing wrong with rich folk. We like,
No.
but there's nothing wrong with rich. But we're moving south to a place called Broad Ripple, and that's the artsy, creative. A lot of people go there to drink. There's a lot of good bars there.
It's a little bit bohemian.
It's bohemian
kind of part of
and
Indianapolis.
we just happened to found a cute little house with trees in front of it, and Rinda and I fell in love with it, and we won't be moving until the 1st of September, but that's where Family Tree's going to be, and we're all I don't know if everybody's thrilled at the office because it's different. Change is hard. People don't always cotton to change, do they? It's just human nature, isn't it, Jerry?
And adult children have a hard time with change.
They really don't like
if
change.
you have issues.
Borderlines? How do borderlines like change?
No. Except they might like drama and change all the time. I don't know. But yeah, change isn't easy.
Breed wants to know when are we coming to the Netherlands?
When you send us a ticket,
Send
when you send 3 of us
Send the
first class ticket to a 5-star hotel,
I've
we're
been
coming.
invited to Egypt, Bulgaria, Dubai, and there was in Liechtenstein.
But nobody's actually.
No one sent the ticket yet. But
I got invited to Australia by some
Australia. That's not. I just thought
flirty woman.
Oh, well,
we were afraid they were going to bury me in the outback.
No, they could have. That's right.
I was afraid. No, but all my friends thought that was probably a bad idea, so I stayed away from.
Yeah.
And now I married Rinda Smith, so that's all good. Okay, so I think that sort of catches everybody up with our news. Is Jerry going to answer some questions?
Yeah.
Or
So I mean,
maybe
kind of.
Rinda had some.
So, I mean, Jerry, it's where do you see yourself in collaboration with Mark and I on how we move forward? Because I'm super stoked and excited about it.
Yes.
So
I'm going to hear about these workshops.
yeah.
Well, actually, one of the workshops was done at Family Tree.
Cool.
And it was done there, and it was, a good long workshop that we had. And it came out so good in terms of the quality of the audio, and I really enjoyed how I interacted with the crowd. And I just had a couple of people preview it, and they really liked the pace of it and how we interacted and answering the questions and how I dealt with resistance in the crowd. Because when we do talk about change and when we do talk about growth, many times we are our own worst enemy. We are the resistance to our change. And in fact, I had someone on one of my YouTube videos even today said, well, how do you overcome learned helplessness? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, it's not a matter of how, it's a matter of when. And there's no easy tips to overcome learned helplessness. It's when you're ready to overcome
People like
learned
to ask
helplessness.
how questions.
They do
all the
how
time.
questions.
How you
and,
do this? How you do that?
And it's like many times the question is, when are you ready to do it?
Develop a sense of self, and it'll be easy.
And
How do you do that?
How do you do that? Maybe a how for that. And I think of being a midwife to the birthing process, and a mother's not going to ask me, how do I have this baby?
Right.
It's going to come when it comes. I'm going to midwife and help you breathe, help you push at the right time. I can help you do that, and then you will have the baby.
Right.
Same with learned helplessness.
Yeah.
And in a family systems facilitator or coach, we're midwifing you to become a self. And so
I love that.
that's my job. And when you think
love
about
that.
coaching, it's being a midwife.
Yeah.
And I think that's much different than being a psychoanalyst or even a psychotherapist. It's a midwife process.
Dan, sideways by the highways. Hey. Dan met us once down in Myrtle Beach, and we went and got fish. He's
Hey
real
Jerry,
sweet.
I'm gonna set your phone up so if you don't mind, so you can see what's going on.
Oh, that'd
here.
be great.
Okay. You wanna
That would be wonderful.
I'm going to say one more thing while Jerry's getting set up.
And
And I got to tell this
Should I
story. A
go
lot
to
of you have
YouTube?
heard this story. When I was 17 years old,
just tell Jerry wise.
my dad
Do you
had
want pen and
two
Nope.
new cars his whole life. A black Volkswagen Beetle and a yellow Honda Civic. And I totaled both of them by the time I was 17. Echo, echo, echo. And if he'd have cussed me, I'd have been fine, but he went to crying. and I felt so much shame. I went over to the Catholic Church on J Street next to my house, and I had this spiritual conversion. And then there was somebody from school. They invited me to a Bible study in Greentown, Indiana. This is summer of 1976, July.
That's right.
Of 1976. So I went to Greentown and went to somebody's house, and I walked in. I heard an angel singing. The voice of an angel. Jerry sings like an angel, I swear to you.
Too kind.
And what's that thing you play?
The electric auto harp.
The electric auto harp. See, angels, what they play? They play harps.
They play harps.
He plays an electric auto harp.
I did.
But
I taught that at Indiana State. I taught that privately.
Playing that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I go in, and that was 42 years ago, Jerry.
You know, I just figured that up myself.
42. It's come out on 42 years.
42 years ago.
That's a long time for guys who are as young as us.
And in fact, if you go to Jerry Wise Relationship Systems, I have 3 songs on there from that very time. And about 1979 is when those songs were
And you've played on Christian music albums, haven't you?
Yes.
John Michael Talbert.
Pat Boone.
He had good teeth. He did.
And several other people as well. I was blessed to be able to do that, and that was very special.
So then, about 20 years later, Jerry and I met up again. 15 years later, 20, something like that. And he had become a family therapist. I was a clinical social worker. He was from working in my hometown of Kokomo. And we got together, we went to a hotel, and we had a meeting. We were both very counter-dependent, and we were like, let's take over the world.
Let's take over the world.
Power. And
young and
ambitious. And sort of arrogant.
No.
A little bit. More me than you. But we were ambitious. But the Lord is always working in mysterious ways. So we went through various growth processes that changed our
some
plans.
Difficult, some easier.
Mainly difficult. Mainly difficult. But here we are 42 years later, and we're on this channel, and we're up to 3.3 million views. And we have this wonderful church with all you very special people, and we're not arrogant anymore. We've been through so much crap and
got a lot of
our own stuff.
Crap
It'll
kicked
sort
out of
of
us, maybe.
knock the arrogance right out of you.
Which life will do.
But we do have some confidence that some of the things that we're sharing hold some truth, and we have hope, and we have joy, and we have root beer. So we have a plaid shirt. So anyway, I just wanted to tell those stories to give you background about how many years. One more thing, Jerry, and you probably shared this. Share just briefly about your mom and how she passed away.
Yeah, recently I did lose my mom. She passed away on January 31st of this year. With my arm around her neck and shoulders.
Oh.
And I was the only one there at that time. And it was somewhat unexpected, but she had gotten ill, and she was 93. And I do miss her. And on Sundays it's hard. I was used to visiting her in the nursing home on Sundays. Those are still a little tough. But what I see when I think about my mom is the work that I did on self-differentiation and building a better relationship with her over the years. Back when say Mark and I would have met, if somebody would have said, do you think your mom could ever live with you? And I would have said, you're totally out of your mind.
Not gonna happen.
That would never happen. It would. And fortunately, I was able to be with her for about 10 years. So she did not have to go to a nursing home until she finally had to.
You were a really good son, John.
And I tried to be of help to her. And we had to do some work together, she and I, to work on our relationship. But it helped me to grow It helped me to be a stronger person and more self-differentiated, and not be as enmeshed with my mom, because she and I think we're very enmeshed. And so when she passed, I was in a more joyful state of feeling like I had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish with her. And so we had a better relationship in the last 5 years, that sort of thing. It really, I think it went much smoother. Now, I know that's not true for all people and their parents. I know it can be different. My dad's relationship was different, and he and I.
But you did your own self-differentiation work with your mother that went really well and ended wonderfully.
Right.
So what's the plan? You guys were writing little love notes to each other. What?
Oh no, we were just seeing how many people were watching.
Oh,
Right. I didn't know how to find that out.
Okay.
I'm
So
a
is
little
Jerry
bit of
going to
a-
answer questions?
I'm a bit of a
You're a
YouTube
novice.
stream virgin or novice. Novice. I'm sorry, novice. Live stream.
You did
novice.
some live streaming before.
Yeah, but not where I
I
was.
remember
kinda,
one you had cool socks on and you stuck your feet up.
Oh, I believe I did.
Tennis shoes.
And my tennis shoes. That is
Yeah, it was those cool
correct.
shoes.
Yeah.
Because you had shoes
Well,
to match your
I have
shirt.
nicer shoes on tonight.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You just take it
You
off.
just everybody look at this Jerry
These-
Wise shoes.
Jerry shoes.
Those are nice.
These
I
are
like
my
the
favorite.
black and the brown.
Honey, those kind of look like somebody similar to yours.
I know, but those are
They're-
cooler because mine
they're
are just
very
one
nice.
color.
I bought those in Arizona so I could go to a very fancy country club and And-
Soren says, like a virgin streaming for the very first time.
oh dear, I shouldn't have gone there. I really shouldn't have gone there.
That's
I
funny.
need to, Jerry, watch what you say. I need to
Oh
write that
my
note
God.
right here so I can.
Yeah, I saw a comment, and I don't know, somebody had said that I thought you guys were competition.
No.
No.
No, I don't think we've ever really been competition.
How many people are there in the world? Like 4 billion?
I mean,
Yeah, more than
I
billion.
think there's a lot of people that need help.
How many
And
narcissists are out
we
there?
have niches. And
Right.
again, I
Yeah.
do the ACONs, adult children of narcissists, and what, Rinda, you do trauma and abuse
Right.
and that kind of focus and I think
I do
Mark-
shattering, people that have been shattered. I do marriage
I-
counseling. We do different stuff.
We do have our different areas.
I love the fact that we're all three together again and getting to have an impact, and it's for everybody. It's for everybody.
Right.
It's more fun. Doing the show alone is a little hard, but I like the energy here.
Steph says there's 7 billion people in the world.
Oh, is there?
I'm not
Well,
sure.
there might be a client or two for each of us if there's 7 billion.
There might be enough for all
And
of us.
you know what? In the show reaches English-speaking world. There's so many countries represented, so we don't have to worry about not having clients.
And
That's-
Vanessa says 7 billion. What percent are narcissists?
Depends on who you ask.
97. Joking. That's not correct.
Some people say as high as 40. Some people say 15, but too damn many is
Yeah.
I'd say too damn many.
too damn many.
Too damn
So
And they-
are these
and-
the questions here?
And
or-
I
Go
think I think different ones of us, we have different areas of the spectrum of narcissism we kind of work with too.
right.
Because there's the malignant, toxic narcissist. Then you have the one clear down on this end, whom has strong narcissistic traits, may be more amenable to help and to change, whereas this person is very cluster B and
We try
not.
to stay away from those folks
Right.
in terms of therapists or life coaches.
Well, and even the people we work with and spouses and things like that, if their spouse is a narcissist, are they down here? Are they down here? And we would have different specialties in helping them, depending upon where they are on that spectrum. And I keep telling people there is a spectrum. They always say, "Well, a narcissist wouldn't do that." I'm going, "Well,
Like,
it depends on where
they're
you are
all
on the
or nothing. It's black
right. It's all or
white.
nothing. Either they're a full narcissist or no,
There's
they're
a
not.
whole lot of
Well,
gray in between, isn't
whole
there?
lot of gray, and it's better if you look at it at gray. And I'm not trying to poo-poo the real malignant narcissists that are out there.
Yeah.
But it's just not every narcissist is a toxic, malignant narcissist.
I'd like to point out that was a good use of the phrase poo-poo.
Well,
Jerry.
oh, dear.
So, I'm going to get some throat lozenges. Do you want to tackle some of these questions, or what's the plan?
So, Music Lover said I need to move closer to you guys, and
Who does?
Okay.
You do.
Music says that
Oh,
she
she
needs to move.
needs-
She needs to move closer to us.
Oh, I
And
was
someone,
moving.
well, we do need adjustments for that. But somebody jumped in and said they do Skype. So
We do
We
Skype,
do
don't we,
Skype.
Jerry?
Yes.
Can you reset him up, or?
Do I just need to go to YouTube? I like this
what
question.
we've enjoyed is Skype. To me, is 95% like being in the room.
Except
And
we
of course, Rinda and I are heading back to the beach on the 23rd of March, where
I'm
it's
not
going to be
heading
in the
back to
mid
the
70s
beach.
and sunny. And
That's a difference between us. I don't head back to the beach. They head back to the beach. That's not fair.
And so we're going to take a break from the face-to-face stuff here in Carmel, Indiana. But you can reach us and you can set up appointments. Rinda has been doing wonderful marketing and getting. And she did. Can you tell about the
I
radio
will. Just
show?
Let me
honey?
get Jerry set back up.
Okay,
So-
because she was contacted by a national radio program, and they gave her 8 minutes, I think
8
it
minutes.
was.
Yep.
Because she had
And-
done a wonderful ad.
And she got that exposure all across the country.
So
Tell them about.
So
that,
Jerry,
honey.
you got to get back up there to the family. There we go. Never mind. Gotcha. I just didn't. My finger didn't hit it good. Got you set back up. There you go.
Wonderful.
All right. So the ad that I posted on the Renspire channel and Mark posted on the Family Tree channel, it was something that that I'd done and posted on my Facebook and plastered it all over the place. And then ABM FM, which is All Business Media, contacted me, and they said, we want to know about Renspire. And so I said, I would be glad to tell you about Renspire. And so I set up the meeting, had the interview yesterday. It went awesome. I was nervous. I was very nervous. I was actually shaking. Actually, when I got the phone call, I was so excited I couldn't sit down. And so I was pacing because I was so excited because it was so cool. And I was home alone. So the dogs are like pantsing around and everything else. And I was so excited. So I had the interview yesterday. It will be available for me to download later this week. So I will, as soon as I get that, if those of you who haven't heard it, which probably is most of you, it will be on all of my social media. So as many social medias as I can get it on. So you guys will be able to hear that
Can't wait.
interview. They just asked me about what Renspire was, what do I do, where do I see myself going, and it was funny because he was like, well, where your clients come from, and I said, I see clients all over the world via Skype, and he said Skype, and I said yes. I said it's just like being in the room, except I don't hand you the tissues. So but it is. That's the way
Great.
Skype therapy.
That's-
That's the way Skype coaching. That's the way it works. Is we get to be in the same room, and we just don't hand you the tissues. So
Congrats, Rinda.
Thanks.
Yay, Rinda. They're all congratulating
Thanks,
you,
thanks,
which
you
is
guys.
wonderful. It is.
so I was super excited about it. I'm super excited about the nature of where Family Tree is going, where Jerry Wise is going, and where Renspire is going. I'm just excited about this whole thing. It's been fun.
I noticed someone on here mention when we were talking about Skype.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I need to
Go
correct
ahead.
this. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, Breed, Rinda and Jerry are a couple. No, Rinda and Jerry are not a couple. Rinda and Mark are a couple.
Yes, it goes
Mark and
this
I,
way.
Yeah, Mark and I are a couple. Jerry and I are not in a coupleship.
Couple friendship.
We're couple friendship.
That's
Yes.
for sure. And I suppose for new people on the program, they might not.
They might
They
not know that.
might not know that.
Somebody asked if Jerry
If
and I were
we're
together.
together.
No, she's
No.
mine.
This is Mark's wife. someone mentioned on here when Rinda was talking about Skype and how effective it was, and they
You
said,
really get around, Rinda.
and she's a busy lady. And they were talking about they are from Korea, and they see a therapist via Skype. And I have a client who's in Korea, in South Korea, and I work with them. And we have a time change we have to work with. And again, she's in the military, she's an officer, and so and she's from the States, so she wants to talk to someone who understands her situation.
And I have clients in India and in Russia. Mark, you have clients in other countries.
I
as
have
well.
Pakistan,
Yeah.
Brussels, Belgium.
So we get around.
UK, Australia. Again, if you can speak English. Now, I know some German, but it would be enough to hurt your therapy or hurt your coaching.
I know how to say I love you.
It would not help you if we did the German, I'm afraid. And I wouldn't be able to, though I might be able to understand a little bit of what you said, but you probably couldn't understand much of what I said.
You know what we found out by doing all this Skype work? People are people.
Yep.
And
Whether in
Where-
Japan or Netherlands or Brussels
they
or
all have
Germany.
families, they all
Everybody
have
has
issues.
families. Everybody participates in.
They don't really seem that
relationships.
much different than people in Alabama and Texas and Indiana.
Mm-mm. So I bet you everybody's wanting us to get to some questions that they sent in.
Questions.
I've got a question
Okay,
that
go
I see
ahead.
what I'd
Jeremy.
like. Do I tell who
Yes,
it's from?
you say who it's from.
Okay.
Just say the first name.
This is from Jennifer, and she writes, and this is kind of my area, so I thought, I have a narcissistic mother. All of my life, I still try to get her approval and her recognition, even now that I'm an adult. How do I stop that? Now, what did we just talk about? How and when questions?
You want paper.
And we're going to come back to how do I stop that? Because even though I know it's going to be a negative response, I seek for that mother-daughter relationship and approval. Jennifer, you're asking a question almost every client will ask at some point. Whether their parents are narcissistic or whether they're just trouble or whether they're just problematic or abusive, everyone will ask this type of question, so it's a very common one. And of course, you mentioned, how do I stop that? Well, if you remember, I talked about how and when. It's not as much how do you stop it.
Too many hows.
It's when do you stop it. And now the reason I say that's not a trick answer I'm giving you. But what I heard you say, though I know it's going to be a negative response, I still seek after that mother-daughter relationship and approval that I've always wanted. So what happens is, just because we know something cognitively or understand it, I was just reading in an excellent book, if we don't add the affect or the emotion to it, it's not healed, it's not us, it's just knowledge. And so until we add the affect or the feeling part of that, we're going to continue in that quest. So what we do is we go and take a look at, where did that begin? How is it functioning now? And then, I'm just doing a video now. I'm trying to think, or in fact, I think didn't I just do it? How to be a real,
You released it this morning.
yes, you'd think I would know things like that. How to become the real you in relationships. And one of those steps is how to become the real you in your relationship with your mother is taking a look at what are the downsides if you stopped seeking that approval. There are downsides, even though on the other saying, well, I'd be happy, I'd be free, no, there are some downsides which keeps you looking for that. And that if you gave that up, they would be a parade of horribles or problematic for you. And so exploring those would be very important. And then also doing the healing inside about the yearning for that approval. And healing that so you deal with your affect here. Then you have your understanding, And then you're able to be your real, authentic, or well-defined self. And so we have to heal that which is, I need her approval. Because one of the things you don't need is her approval. Another thing you don't need is a mother-daughter relationship. There is no need for it. You may want it. It may be nice to have. But once we become adults, that need is no longer there. We're now adults. We are now brothers and sisters with our parents. It's not us like that. It's us like that as parents. They're other adults. My mother stops being mommy and becomes being Joanne, though she has passed away. But I want her to be Joanne and Jerry. I want to be adult with her. I don't need her. I can choose her. I can decide what kind of relationship I have with her. But if you're still needing your parents as adults, we need to work on that growth. Mm-hmm. And like a book like Growing Yourself Up by Jenny Brown would be a very good one to read about de-enmeshing from narcissistic mothers or any mother or any father or any family members.
So Jerry, why don't you study up on this one here? Rinda is going to answer. Did you write yours down?
Yes, I did.
Okay, it's from Dee Dee. This is a long question from Rachel. You study up on that while Rinda's going to go with her question.
So Dee Dee asked, in friendship, how much reciprocity. Say it fast 3 times. Should you expect to balance out the normal give and take? When is it okay to assume that the relationship is one-sided? If so, how do you end such a relationship? So the natural flow of a relationship is give and take, right? And so when you don't have that give and take, then one person starts to feel like they're giving more, and then it builds up resentment. So the question is, how can you bring up in that relationship and in yourself and having a voice and being heard in that relationship to ask for what you need out of that relationship? It's kind of like, even in friendship, it's like that in marriage, it's like that in when you're in that self-differentiated parent, Joanne and Jerry, it's a give and take, right? So when it becomes, so oftentimes, right, there's times when somebody gives more than others, but it still goes back to being equal. So if you're feeling as if the relationship is one-sided, it's because you're not asking for your needs to be met from that other person. And so you're not having a strong enough voice, interdependent voice, to say, this is what I need from this relationship. Okay?
So a lot of our listeners are either codependents or empaths or both.
Right. And so we're natural givers, because I'm codependent, and it's a natural giving. So it's about learning to stop jumping in and rescuing.
And so I just naturally give so much to you that you just don't know what to do with all the giving, right? Is that?
Yeah.
So you really have to work on.
I really have to asking. It's about asking for my needs. Right. It's asking for my needs to be met.
Because it's not my nature to.
Right. And it may be this other person that, they're like, you're willing to give. Okay, well, I'm willing to receive. And so the person that's the giver is now getting a resentment that the other person doesn't even have a clue about, because they're not having a voice and speaking up and saying so. And so who does the resentment hurt? It hurts you, and the other person is clueless because you're not speaking up and saying what you need. So if you want to end that relationship, simply start stepping back, and you can explain, you're not getting your needs met. I had a relationship similar to that long time ago when I was very, very, very codependent. And my friend would call me and say, hey, I need something. I would drop everything and run and go, because her kids were I loved her kids. They were like my kids and this, that, and the other. But I would drop everything and run. And then one day I was like, I'm not getting anything out of this.
I'm doing all the running.
And so,
And they're doing all the sitting.
Right, and so I started stepping back from that relationship and started meeting my own needs and taking care of me. And then she realized, she was like, "Wow, what happened to Rinda?" And she called me when she was like, "You know, we need to get together." And she changed, I changed, we both grew, and now we're really still great friends.
So we see your questions on here, folks, and we'll get to as many as we get, but people have shipped in their questions ahead of time. So you've got sort of a longer question here, Jerry. You ready to tackle that?
I'd like to add, can I plug another video that I just put up? And you've put it up. It's the one on letting everyone around you grow up.
Yeah.
And that video talks about overfunctioning and letting everybody around you grow up. We get in the way of their growing up and in the way of God and the universe and life talking to them because we get in the way. We need to get out of the way. We need to let them grow up, and I would recommend that video. I also talk about helping train or coach people to, if they're overfunctioners, to learn to be mediocre, or to learn to head towards underfunctioning, because that takes some practicing.
There's a book out that's popular along those lines. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's sort of a similar but a little more earthy title than what you're talking about. It's just learning how to care an appropriate amount.
Right.
Not too much.
Well, and again, as I mentioned in the video, what we end up doing is over-empathizing, over-functioning without a well-defined self. And you must have a well-defined self before you should start empathizing and functioning. So we miss that, but we have all the empathy and over-functioning going on, but we miss the well-defined self, which is what we need to make that effective. So I just wanted to throw those out there.
Cool.
Here's the little longer question, if you'd like me to go ahead.
Go for it.
Rachel writes, "Thank you for taking my question. I am reading Mark's book on toxic shame now, and I've been watching Jerry's videos on ACOAs. My question is for either Mark or Jerry. I'm an ACOA. I'm currently in therapy and using EMDR to help with childhood trauma. I have done talk therapy in the past and found it unhelpful and re-traumatizing. The EMDR has helped me to decompress the emotion. I can talk about my grandmother, her alcoholism, and the shame I carry with much less emotion. Before, I would just cry and could barely speak. I began therapy for the second time in my life 6 months ago because I felt like I had a hard time connecting with myself. What my true desires were, even my true emotions. Through watching Jerry's videos, I now know this is called self-differentiation work. In your opinion, do you think EMDR will help with self-differentiation and the heavy load of shame that I feel?" Well, I am for anything that works. I mean, I don't care what, crystals,
It works.
EMDR, standing on your head and singing Star Spangled Banner. I am for anything that will work for you. And if it's working for you, I believe you. And I remember a psychiatrist I worked for said, when the patient tells you it works for them, believe them. And that was pretty good wisdom, I think. Now, that doesn't mean we might not want to add more or do some different things, but you don't go, no, that's not working for you. If they believe it's working for them, they may be telling you exactly that it is. And I think and it sounds like EMDR has been a help to you to process some of that trauma without all of the affect or emotion that's behind it. And one of the things I will do a little differently than EMDR, but I will help people restrain their emotions and restrain their feelings while they're working on their issues. Because we do tend to get overwhelmed and emotionally flooded. And a lot of codependents can get flooded and overwhelmed. A lot of adult children experience that. And so we do need to learn to feel less and think more when we have those kinds of problems. And while I think that talk therapy can be very valuable, because I do think universally there is a healing part of putting words to your pain, and that can be a healing. We know that to be a healing part of coaching, therapy, healing process. The other thing is, I want to make sure you're not too depressed when you're doing your therapy. Sometimes if we're too depressed, we can get too into our emotions too much. Maybe you have CPTSD. Maybe those things need to be carefully watched and looked at if you're having these kinds of experiences. And Rachel, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying these are some general things I would say to folks, and when I've worked with folks before. So I think that I have used a combination of the non-traditional talk therapies and the non-traditional therapies and the traditional talk coaching, talking experience. So I think it's been a good combination. I have some people that have benefited very much by EMDR.
Okay, so I'll field a question. I haven't studied ahead, so I'm going to be flying by my seat of my drawers here. This is from Sylvia. She says, I no longer have that magnetic pull feeling or crave to be anywhere near any narcissist. I don't think or miss the last one at all, and have been so alone for a year and 5 months. That sounds good so far. I don't feel I'm at all close to recovery. I am a codependent, but I have no desire to date or make new friends because I'm afraid that another narcissist coming into my life. What does this mean? I made a video entitled, what was it? Predatory Fear Anxiety. And that's where you've been crushed and smacked and hurt and chopped and stabbed in the back and burnt on fire so many times that you just know it's coming. You're just waiting for the other shoe to drop at any second. So I think, Sylvia, that not dating is a very good idea for you at this point until you get healthier, until you're thriving and you have joy and you feel whole. Not dating is a really good idea for you, but we do want you to get friends. And there are narcissistic friends out there, but
Yes.
we want you to go to 12-step meetings. There are narcissists at 12-step meetings. There are narcissists at church, Jerry.
No, there are no narcissists.
Jerry followed this writer named Friedman, and he applied family systems and Murray Bowen to church congregations and pastors brilliantly, right?
Saved my life as a pastor when I was
Yeah.
a priest, and when I was a pastor,
Yeah.
saved my life.
So
That
we
book.
can't say go to church and there's all sheep and no wolves.
Everybody just behaves well.
You might find a wolf or two.
So I'd like to jump in and say that.
Jump.
So, when you no longer feel the need to have to be in a relationship is when you know that you're ready for a relationship. When you're happy and healthy and doing things on your own and by yourself, then that's when you know that you're ready for a relationship.
I want to tell my broccoli cheese soup story. Have I told that too much?
I don't remember it.
They haven't heard it, so I guess I
Maybe you should.
Anyway, right across the way here, you could throw a rock, and the meetings where I used to go to my 12-step meetings at St. Luke United Methodist Church, you literally could throw a rock
and
hit the front door of the meeting room of the 12-step.
Very, very
and that
large,
helped to
beautiful
save
church.
my life. I wasn't a sex addict. I was a relationship addict, and I'd go and say, "Hi, Mark, I'm a relationship addict." They look at me like, "Why aren't you a sex addict?" But I went there one Friday morning. They have a great meeting on Friday morning, 7 o'clock, and a fella came, and he and I had a lot in common. And it was his very first meeting, and we went out to breakfast down the street at the Original House Pancake that makes really good bacon, by the way. And he and I talked, and this fella was going through his third divorce. He was broke. He was living in a crappy apartment. He was going through bankruptcy. And he really was hurting. But he worked the 12 steps like Rocky Balboa worked out ready to fight a fight with Apollo Creed or whoever. He worked it. And several years later, he showed up at, we did a men's group at the practice, and he showed up. And one night he checked in, he goes, "This weekend I made broccoli cheese soup. I've got the recipe from Panera Bread, and it's really good. And I had a great weekend, and I had it on Sunday, and I had it on He acted like he just won the friggin' lottery. He was in a crappy apartment. He didn't have any money, didn't have a girlfriend, and all he had was this soup. But I thought after the session, I thought, you know what? I bet in about a year this guy will be a genuinely healthy, because he was happier in a clam, just his own self. Rinda has met him. He came. I don't think they made it to our wedding, did they?
I don't know.
But we've met him at the pancake. We've seen him at Pancake House. But he and his wife. He met her at work. Wasn't trying to meet anybody. Wasn't on a dating site, because Match.com is from the devil. Do not get on Match.com. He just met her at work. Wasn't looking for trouble. Wasn't looking for. He was ready though, because he was happy. He was whole, and they've been married 6 years. They're two of the happiest married people I know. They're lovely together. But if he would have been out looking for a date, he'd be back in those meetings across the street, crying his heart out and starting over. But instead, he's celebrating 6 years of happy marriage. You know what he fell in love with? He fell in love with himself.
That's what you got to do.
You got to fall in love with yourself.
Can I mention a video title of mine?
Yes, you may.
If you're looking for love, stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
That's the name of the video.
Stop it.
Because you're looking for love out there,
Right.
rather than looking for love in
right,
here.
and we talk about the book, the 7 Principles of Highly Effective People, and he talks.
Stephen Covey.
Talks about living your life from the inside out versus the outside in. Right, you've got to take care of this first and foremost, because that's what's most important in your own personal life. Is this? If you don't take care of this, you can't have everything outside of this. So, that's right. Stop it. Stop looking for love in all the wrong places.
Ginger says, hearing Jerry gives me permission to underfunction was such a feeling full of grace. I hadn't felt that type of relief since I could remember.
How wonderful.
Jilligan said she'd love to earn a degree in not giving a fuckology.
That's a worthwhile degree.
That's an awesome.
That's a worthwhile degree.
For codependents and empaths, that's really what we're trying to do, is to learn how to look. If you're busy loving yourself, that's not being selfish.
Not at all.
Not at all.
If you love yourself, you still care about. You're not going to quit being an empath.
Right.
It's self-defining. It's not selfish.
Right. It's learning to set appropriate boundaries.
Right.
Okay, here's Breed, B-R-E-D-E.
Breed, yeah.
Help, Jerry.
I said
help.
I said Breed told her to email you, Jerry.
Help. How can I, as a codependent woman, break through the fear of intimacy and get closer to my husband? Then she says, and have sex without having alcohol.
Yeah, I told her to email you then, Jerry.
She might need to email you.
I didn't think we wanted to answer that one online.
You can't fix her in just one.
In one clever
sentence.
statement.
Yeah.
I sent her your email.
Let me know. Well, you can reach out to me.
Yep.
I have another question if you want me to answer.
Go.
Well, go. I don't want to keep.
No,
Hi,
you from
Denise. Hi, Denise, by the way.
Yes. This one's from Sarah. I have a question, please. How should I handle narcissistic sisters? Let me underline something. How should I handle narcissistic sisters who are jealous that my son is a dentist with plenty of money. They are scapegoating us even more, I assume because of the son and his success. I'm not doing anything to make them feel bad or to cause this. Thanks. Well, first of all, you should stop handling it.
Nice.
Because you said, how should I handle? That's one of the problems, is you're trying to handle it. And what it indicates is the family is still enmeshed, and you're still enmeshed with your sisters, they're still enmeshed with you. Because they're all touchy and pingy about your son being successful.
When did it become her job to be the handler?
Right. And so we have this, how should I handle narcissistic? We don't handle people. We don't handle narcissistic sisters. Now, I'm not making fun of you. I have done that time and time and time again. I know what it means to try to handle other people. But when I hear that language, I hear the language of enmeshment. So if you want to know how should you handle them, it's a matter of when are you going to be ready to let them go? That's more of the bigger question. And when are you going to be ready to accept the reality of them being narcissistic who are jealous and are not going to change and will not be the sisters you want them to be and not be the aunt that would be nice to have them be. And they may scapegoat you, but that's what narcissists do. That's what dysfunctional families do. As I mentioned in, again, one of my videos, dysfunctional families eat their own, that they really do scapegoat us. Now, what you might want to ask the question is, how do I handle my scapegoating role? That might be a better question. How do I handle not caring about being a scapegoat? How am I going to handle, what kind of relationship am I going to have with people who want to scapegoat me? What am I going to do and what do I want? And that may have been implied in your question also, so I don't want to say that you weren't asking those things. But I really do hear some enmeshment in the question, if I may. And we want to really work on that enmeshment. Your sisters have problems. There is no doubt. And they probably are going to continue to have problems. And you can learn to have a tougher skin. You can learn to respond to them in different ways. But you responding to them in different ways is not handling them. Because I don't know how to handle narcissists. I mean, it's good luck. Anybody know how to handle narcissists?
I do.
Stay the hell away from them.
them.
You walk away.
And then they can't handle you.
Right.
An angel is hard to find wrote, I love the question and answers approach here. And the answers that I'm hearing are truly excellent and accurate and relevant to my situation too. So if you ask a question, you're helping other folks on the show too.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So Soren asked, what do you do about people in the family who are mentally ill? I feel
That's a
like
good
I should
question.
take care of my brother who has schizophrenia. Should I just give that up?
Well, now we're talking about a biological illness. Except Murray Bowen, who is the grandfather of family therapy, began his work with schizophrenic patients and their families. And so he developed his theory all around schizophrenics and their families. Excuse me.
That's cool.
And so he was very in tune with schizophrenia. And I don't think I do think that for me, I would have a different kind of compassion for someone who has an illness that not of their own making, not of their own choosing, something that they didn't cause and they didn't, and there are even problems where some people have caused problems. There's nothing wrong with being compassionate and caring, but we have to lower our expectations very, very low about what to expect from them. And I'm not sure what you mean by taking care of your brother. I'm not sure. And medication sometimes helps schizophrenics be fairly functional. So I'm not sure what his real condition is, but you can be compassionate or you can be helpful knowing that he has an illness he didn't cause. Though sometimes drugs and acid and different things can spur on schizophrenia for people. But, how are you going to, what kind of relationship do you want to have with him without taking over the whole relationship between you and him? I guess that's how I think about it.
On a lighter side, we began the great soup conversation with the broccoli cheese. Wild Rosa says, I want some soup.
Somebody's having onion soup, creamy onion soup. I think
Then-
Agnes.
Ooh, that sounds...
Jennifer says, well, I want some broccoli soup now. And Jilligan says, broccoli soup equals heaven. And then somebody says that they had the creamy onion
Yeah,
soup.
somebody had creamy onion soup.
So, and then Soren says, stop it. I think he was talking about when you were saying,
Yeah.
he wasn't stopping the soup conversation.
Oh.
And Sarah said, you guys haven't tried my broccoli cheese soup. Okay.
Well,
Sarah,
send us a
you're-
sample.
yeah,
Come on,
we're
let's
open
go.
to it.
to
We're
broccoli.
We're
open
open to trying
broccoli
lots
soup.
of things. We'll eat it right
we
here
would
on
eat
the...
it on
We
the
would-
show.
Mark's good at that too. Just saying. You guys know Mark's
You
Mark's
know
the
that.
expert
You
at
know
eating
that
on the
he
show.
has no
I
compunction
got
about...
one
No
comment.
shame about
I
eating
want
on the
I
show.
got one comment from somebody from another country, and they go, I don't understand you Americans and food. Because no, it was like rude to during the show. But if I see 11 hours of clients, I come home, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat food.
Right. Hey,
Especially
nothing
if
about
it's
that.
broccoli
'cause, I mean,
cheese soup. you know.
So somebody else asked, why is codependency not in the DSM? Since what we talk about, a lot of it stems from codependency. Why is it not in the DSM? Because, well, I'm just going to give my personal opinion. Because the DSM has been put together by a bunch of medical model people, and so that's my personal opinion. So, Jerry, stab at it.
Well, I think it's considered like a syndrome
Right.
versus a mental illness. And it's a syndrome which is a combination of symptoms. Why isn't adult children of alcoholic syndrome in DSM-3? It's a combination of symptoms that have common traits among people who've been in these families and in dysfunctional families. And also, codependency is a term of art that comes from the chemical dependency world and comes from the addiction world. And so it doesn't come so much out of the medical model. Now, I think many doctors would not deny the fact that codependency exists. I think many would not, but it's not considered an official mental illness.
It's not a disorder.
It's not a dis-ease.
DSM-3
right. DSM-5 we're up to.
Right.
I'm still back on 3. It's driven by the medical model, by medicine, by doctors, by hospitals, by insurance companies, and they tend to have diagnoses that you can go see a psychiatrist and get a pill. There's no pill for codependency. You just got to work
Unfortunately,
recovery.
I would have taken it.
Recovery.
Yeah.
I would have taken it.
There's no pill for narcissistic abuse syndrome.
Right.
I wish there was.
Yep.
I'd have bought a whole big bottle of them. You've got to work your butt off by exercising, crying, doing yoga,
learning to love yourself,
meditating. It's much easier to take a pill, do all that stuff. So.
And somebody, so Breed, had said that, Breed said, when I graduate for psychology, I'll arrange and organize a Congress and pay your tickets for sure. Will you all 3 give a presentation? Then we have a deal.
In the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands.
Oh, hell yeah.
Send me an email.
Yep, send me an email.
We're available.
Amsterdam, flying to Amsterdam.
We're
I've been to the Netherlands.
Have you really?
I've been to Amsterdam. I have been to Haarlem in the Netherlands, and I went to, I don't know if anybody knows, Corrie ten Boom wrote the book The Hiding Place,
I
and
remember
she
her.
survived the concentration camp.
Yeah.
All of her family was killed, and she forgave her concentration camp guard at a conference that at one point, and Corey ten
And the
Boom
guard was there.
and the guard was there.
Holy
yes,
moly!
and she forgave her concentration guard, and her father had a watch shop in Harlem. And I took a train from Amsterdam to Harlem to see this watch shop, and they were Christians, and they hid Jews up in the attic, and then they ended up getting in trouble for that, and were taken to the concentration camps, and no one lived but Corey ten Boom. And I remember going to that and seeing her family Bible and all of her.
That had to be
So,
really interesting.
It was fascinating, and a beautiful town, beautiful cathedral right down the street from the watch shop too.
Gilligan, I laughed while you were talking because Gilligan had texted in, "Me on the seafood diet, me seafood, me eat it."
The good old seafood diet.
Yeah. You guys are talking about food, and I'm hungry.
Are you hungry?
Yes, I am hungry.
I could get some nuts in here for you.
No, I don't. No, thanks. I don't
Not
want
much of
you
a
on
nut.
that.
Here.
I've been doing good so far. Just drinking. Someone mentioned, do you remember the A&W mugs?
Oh,
Oh,
I remember the
the
mugs.
frosty-
I do remember the
chilled
frosty
mugs.
mugs.
Remember when they had
Absolutely.
the drive-ins?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually
Oh, yeah.
remember that. There was
Oh.
one that we used to go to after football games up in high school.
Oh, you
Used to go to-
who are almost 20 years younger than us.
I'm
you
45.
remember.
I remember the drive-in.
She remembered the old people here.
Yeah, really.
We
I
definitely
remember the drive-in.
Even I.
Even I remember the drive-in.
Even I remember.
We are older, and I'm the oldest, unfortunately.
So an Angel's Hard to Find says, could you consider one day to run a live stream, which is to define terms we use in the discussion of narcissistic abuse management and understanding.
Might not be a bad idea.
You know, it was really, when I first started this, the one that tickled me was flying monkeys. That is such a great metaphor. Whoever came up, because literally you get a narcissist, they're whispering in the ear of people, and the next thing you know, the narcissist energy is in this and they're flying off, and they're causing
where
all.
does that come
and
from?
the narcissist, the Wizard,
Wizard
of
of
Oz.
Oz.
The narcissist is sitting at home like an innocent angel.
It sends the
The
monkeys
witch
out.
sends the flying monkeys out to go do her
When I
bidding.
was a little kid, the witch didn't really scare me. My pretty, it was the damn monkeys. If the
Those
film-
were frightening.
Oh
Those
my
were
God.
frightening. Those
Yeah.
were frightening.
Right.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah,
They
that
were
is
the
true.
most frightening part of that.
It filled the whole sky.
Yeah, and they were ugly.
They were ugly.
Yeah, they were ugly monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it? What time
I've
is it?
got
It's
9:30.
9:30. We didn't start. We've got about probably 15 minutes. Does anybody have any more questions or soup recipes
Or check-ins.
Check-ins. Anybody want to check in with what's going on? Sorry if we missed questions, but
I was trying
Hey,
to
we got a
look
new
at-
subscriber.
new subscriber. Is there a bell?
I
Let's
sure-
get a bell. I've got a bell in there. We'll get a new subscriber. We'll ring a bell.
No, that's okay.
You don't want to ring a
No,
bell?
I don't want to do that. It's
Does
not
it
on the
choose
show.
you?
No, it triggers people's PTSD.
Oh, no bell ringing.
LMAO, you guys.
Isaiah has a question. What's your question?
Isaiah is our newbie. So, Isaiah.
Question away. Jennifer says she loves the Facebook group. Can
You're
you
welcome.
talk about the Facebook group just
Sure.
briefly for the newbies?
So,
I'm on there too.
Yes,
Now I'm
so,
a
Jerry's
so
on
now
there.
Jerry's a part of our
I'm part of
Facebook
that.
group. So we have a Facebook group, Church for the Narcissistically Abused, and there is a Facebook page. But in order to get into the group,
Secret.
it's a secret group.
You have to know the secret handshake.
You do, because you have to make
You
it
have
through
to
me
be
before you're allowed
accepted
into the group.
into the-
And I know I might have.
I had to go through an initiation and everything.
I vet people because I don't want to just let anybody into the group because I want to keep
Because
this a
we
safe
know
place.
there are trolls that would love to get in the group. and
Exactly.
wreak havoc.
So if I'm asking, a little bit of an intrusive question, then
Don't take it
Don't take
personally.
it personally because I'm only trying to protect everybody in the group. But anyway, so we have a secret Facebook group. So you need to send me, Rinda Smith, a friend request, and then we'll go through the vetting process. And I will vet you, and then I will send you an invitation to our group if you want to be part of that. But I love that group. I monitor it constantly, but I like to just see the things. The love and the support in that group is awesome. Somebody said yesterday that their favorite aunt had passed away, and just the love and support that just
Vanessa's
comes through.
been talking about her fear of her surgery that's coming
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to mention
right, talking about
Vanessa,
that.
I saw that.
Right, talking about that, and it just the support that you guys give one another is you get it every day instead of just on Tuesdays from us, and so you guys offer a huge source of support and healing for each other in your own recoveries. And so that I just really like that. I really enjoy the group. So
Here's a question for up your alley, Callie. What causes a person who disposes their parents and upbringing to grow up to continue the same pattern? I think she's saying, how do the same patterns
Predispose them?
Predisposed. You tell yourself, I'm not going to be like my parents.
but you end up like your parents.
So how does that happen?
Right. And I always discourage people from making inner vows. I'm not going to be like my parents. I'm not going to drink like my father drank. I'm not going to... Because then we're just doing the opposite of what they're doing. We're not being ourselves. We're being the opposite of them. So we want to give up inner vows and inner things like that. I don't want to not be bad like my parents or not be bad like my father. I want to be me. And so that tells me they're not as well defined. When we talk about families and how that gets intergenerationally transmitted from generation to generation. And again, I think a suicided great-great-grandparent affects, 3-4 generations down, because we're all connected in what we call the emotional field. And in fact, Murray Bowen even said the unconscious doesn't exist. The unconscious is our emotional field that we get from our family of origin. That's what our unconscious is. That's what he believed was the unconscious. And it's out of our awareness. It's part of that limbic lizard brain that we get passed on down through generations. And so we're imprinted when we grow up in our family of origin about what's okay, what's not okay. And it's not just modeling alone. There's a lot more information that we absorb and that we get, and that we're interacting like a mobile in our family. There's a lot more that happens than just mom or dad modeling something or mom and dad saying something. Because even when you communicate, words verbal is only 20% and 80% is a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, it's that whole bunch of other stuff that gets communicated. Intensity, because I can say, somebody can say, well, good morning, Jerry. And I can say, well, what do you mean by that? Now, the words were just, what do you mean by that? But there was a whole bunch of intensity that I put with those words, what do you mean by that? Because I could have said, well, I wonder what you mean by that.
People sometimes say, I don't remember it, like when they were infants or 1 and 2 and 3. And if they were exposed to that kind of negative energy... Right. That negative energy is still in them, isn't it? It's still flowing throughout the generations and flowing from parents to children. And the level of self-differentiation that parents have gets passed on to their children. And then their children pass on their level of self-differentiation. So we want to break that cycle by raising our level of self-differentiation or maturity or naivety or woundedness, or whatever you want to call not healed, not wholeness. And we want to do that so the next generation, and what we've always said and what I've always said, whatever parents don't resolve for themselves,
they leave for their children to resolve
What
for
a
them.
special gift.
And that's our inheritance. And I want to leave as little of that inheritance as is possible to my son or to my granddaughter, or to as little. There'll be some because I messed up. So, hey, there'll be some, but the least
I
is
think
better.
sometimes too in parenting, if somebody's abandoned, then they tell themselves that they're going to be on a mission to give their children all the stuff they didn't get, and then they overcorrect and enmesh with the children, and they actually end up harming the children every bit as much by trying too hard as they were by being abandoned.
Right. It ends up being enmeshment, and that enmeshment causes a lot of problems.
It's another form of abandonment because it's not really meeting needs. It's more about meeting the need for me to be a better parent to my kids.
Right.
That's
and
not,
me to feel good as a parent to my kid. It's about me as a parent.
Right. And the kid
rather
knows
than parenting. And the kid will know that on their limbic level. They will know that, and that gets passed on. And I think that limbic area, or that unconscious area, or that emotional field area, Bowen believed we could affect that and impact that. And that's what the coaching does in self-differentiation. That's what.
So Soren has a check-in. I better get back up to it because it was kind of cute. Let me get back up to it. Soren says, check-in. Got a crown on a tooth today. Never been a king, but I can say it's not. It's not what it's.
Not all it's cracked
all,
up to be.
Yeah, that's what it's all cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, crowns are not so fun.
Rinda went to the doctor
I got a crown yesterday.
Yesterday.
I got a crown yesterday, so I was a queen yesterday.
Good. I've got to go Friday and get a tooth
appropriate.
pulled.
How nice.
So.
Oh, that's Kelly who said that.
Yeah.
Jerry Wise, your name is appropriate.
Yes.
How did I get this name? I don't know.
It's a good name for.
I haven't always been wise at times, let me tell you.
So we've got just a few minutes. Why don't we do this, Rinda and Jerry? We'll pretend we're having group therapy or group supervision, and we'll do a checkout. So, what was your experience of group tonight, Rinda? What would you like to say to the nice people?
I think it was great. It was really fun having Jerry here. It just. Still, I'm just saying for myself, having a little screen, I'm adjusting to my new glasses.
Rinda's got new glasses. Show them the blue part.
Oh, nice.
So,
Those are nice blue.
New
Yeah.
glasses.
Kind of a
glasses.
turquoise-ish?
It's a
Or
like a sky
no,
blue.
it's a sky blue.
It's a sky blue.
She can
Beautiful.
see now.
I can see, but I'm still adjusting to placing my nose where it needs to go so I can see things properly without getting a headache. So they're the transitional lenses. But so as far as that's concerned, it was kind of still a little difficult.
Still working on the technology.
Right, still
and being able to see.
but I think that having Jerry here, it was fun. It was great. I think a lot of questions got answered. There was a lot of community. We had a lot of people here, so it was great. It was fun.
What was it like for you, Jerry?
Well, I like the energy, and I like the questions, and I like the interaction with folks who are watching tonight, and it's fun in my mind. This is enjoyable to me, and it's a challenge too, because I like to be challenged, and I like to have to think about problems in a new way and use what I know to think about what people are asking, and that's something I've always enjoyed doing. And I certainly love Mark and Rinda, and this has been a real special time. And someone asked, I think, if I had been narcissistically abused. Yes, I have. I have not shared that story, but I have. So just whoever asked that question, I happen to see that. But it really was a good live stream tonight, and I'm so glad I could be a part of it, and that in the future I might be able to host my own and
You
then
will.
you'll have to hear
You will.
me talk the whole time,
You
and
will.
that's going to drive you
And
crazy.
you'll have somebody here to moderate, help the others moderate. We didn't have Jackie tonight.
No, well, Jackie is not feeling well, is what I
Oh.
heard from one of the other moderators.
Okay.
So, also, but I just wanted to answer Jennifer's question real quick. She said, "Is it best to start out by going to a psychiatrist or a therapist, and or an ACOA meeting?" I would say that if you want help working on the actual issue, see a therapist or a coach. Also, go to ACOA. If there's problems that you need medication for, then that's when you see a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
All of the above, if you can
Right, if
do
you
all
can
of
do
them,
all of
if
them,
you
then-
have all of those layers
right.
of
So,
issues.
I really enjoyed tonight. I enjoy seeing names of. There's lots of you that are former clients of mine, and I go, I know that person. I know that person, and that's just really cool. I liked it when Jerry took his shoes off and showed his lovely shoes. I like talking about broccoli, cheese, soup. The thing about this group, laughter is good medicine. And when you're freshly shattered, you don't laugh a lot. And we take this very seriously. We know it's life or death. We know that you guys are hurting, but it's also fun to just relax and be people. And really enjoyed the energy between three people tonight. Jerry has been gone officially from the channel for really like 12 or 14 months, but it was like he was here last week. It really he didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a beat with him. It's delightful having his new material on the channel. So this was really, when you do it by yourself, you'll find out, Jerry, it's a little more work to do all the talking and be on the lookout for a good question, be prepared with your own stuff. But when we get a chance to do 2 or 3 together, it's delightful and it's community and it's sort of, I think, what all 3 of us are called to do. And we love you guys. Thank you for
Love you guys.
Thank
watching.
you, everyone,
And we'll see
for
you
having
next
us
week.
be with you.
Love you.
Have a good night.
Your pointer is malfunctional.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to get it